Hi there, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are going to be touching on a topic that I hear is frustrating for so many women, and that is the topic of appetite changes as they relate to the hormonal changes in your cycle. So, appetite changes usually, from a negative perspective, meaning that you crave more sweet or salty, chocolate, carbs, junk food, and generally it occurs in the luteal phase of the cycle. So, the part of the cycle leading up to your period. And for some people, that's a few days before the period starts. It's very short lived. And for others, it could be 2 weeks of this. And, for some, they'll get their period and they'll reset and start eating well again. And for others, the sort of bad behavior continues on into the next cycle. And they go from feeling bloated and yucky and bad about themselves just for a short period of the month into that being a pattern where there's accelerated weight gain and it's more of an issue. And so I wanted to touch on briefly the mechanism behind this. And generally, it's that as your hormones change mid to end of cycle, you have an increase in insulin resistance, meaning that your cells don't respond normally to the food as it comes in. So you eat the food, your insulin goes up, and the cells are supposed to open and take in the food as energy. When you become insulin resistant, according to the hormonal changes that happen, the insulin goes up, the cells don't open, and you don't take in the food as energy. And often it's associated with an underproduction of certain digestive enzymes and a poor digestion overall. So you can become more bloated in your belly leading up to this time. Maybe you get more constipated. There can be a myriad of digestive changes, but it's generally related to the hormone changes affecting the gut bacteria. And then there's a connection between the gut and the brain. So the gut is responsible for producing neurotransmitters like serotonin, like happy hormones, for example. And when we're not producing the neurotransmitters that control our behavior properly, then we start to have impulsive behaviors, binge eating, overeating, and we just don't have this notion of satiation. And that's generally rooted in the insulin resistance. Sometimes it's just rooted in inflammation, but at the core of it is changes in the hormones that change the gut. Okay, so what we want to do to get ahead of this issue is make sure that leading up to that time that we start to get those symptoms, we're eating clean, so we're reducing the inflammation in our body. There are certain supplements that can be helpful for this too, the ones that treat insulin resistance or regulate the brain, things like vitamin D, probiotics, magnesium, NAC. So there are approaches supplementally that we can do, but I also really like to be integrating the lifestyle stuff. So the diet, exercise is super important for regulating neurochemistry and for increasing insulin sensitivity so that you're not getting the issue of your body not taking in the energy from food. So those would be a quick overview. The podcasts that I'll be launching this week will have more details on this topic so that you can kind of dive in and get the useful information that you need to make some changes. Hope this was helpful.